I'm in Mexico City. How exciting.
Okay, so this is how this story begins. I was in Mexico City, and I found myself in an all-English bookstore. Out of the thousands of books there, one book in particular caught my attention. Despite its unintriguing title and quite minimalistic cover, I bought the book and hoped for the best. I really would not classify myself as a big reader, but for the next few days, I read a lot.
It's getting crazy.
The book was about a mid-20-year-old guy who took a spontaneous and underplanned trip through the Brazilian Amazon in 1932. I don't know what it was, something struck a chord, but I was left deeply inspired.
I just got an idea.
So the night that I finished the book, I got to my computer, looked at flights, and booked one to the middle of the Amazon in Brazil. All I could really do was hope for the best.
Here we go again, straight into the wild.
Amazon. I'm in Bogota. Little layover. This is the last flight. Good morning. I'm now in Brazil, Manaus.
So, call me ignorant, but I was kind of expecting more jungle vibes from this place. I mean, I get it, it's a city, but look at the map. Is that not the actual center of the Amazon jungle?
I'm on the way to the house of Rosangela.
But I kept an open mind and headed directly to where I was staying first, to a little house in the outskirts of the city, hosted by a woman named Rosangela.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Luke.
Maybe she would know a thing or two on how to get inside the jungle.
Hey.
She introduced me to her son Lucas. They both had some of the most contagious laughs I've ever heard in my entire life. And they welcomed me to their lives.
Tem 2 milhões de inscritos.
Lucas then showed me around his neighborhood.
Luke and Luke taking on Brazil.
It still didn't seem like the deep jungle at all. The area had a lot of spirit. While eating dinner, Rosangela suggested that we go out for the night. Just me, her, and her son Lucas. I got to thinking that night, I don't think I've ever gone out on a Friday night with a mother and her son before. That was a first for me. And so was this soup. It made our tongues tingle. This was not how I expected the first night in the Amazon to go, but I accepted it, and I loved it. My days with Rosangela and her son were short, but I was eager to continue my journey and experience the depths of the jungle. One day, Lucas told me about this school. It's a tiny English-based learning center in a small city deeper in the Amazon that was in desperate need of a volunteer. And I knew in that moment where I was going to head next. So I said my goodbyes, and I hopped on a 5-hour bus deeper into the Amazon jungle.
To be honest, I have no idea what's going on.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I met the girl in charge, and then got quite the warm welcome from the local kids.
No. Why are they making? They're making fun of my nose. That's my introduction. They're calling me Pinocchio.
The idea was simple. I teach English to the best of my ability in the daytime, keep these kids out of trouble, show them some love. But there was one very important factor that was left out of the explanation. I was going to be alone.
Goodbye.
Okay. Don't leave me, please. Please.
You can do it.
No.
I know. Yes, you can.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm gonna be open and honest and upfront. I am incredibly daunted by this entire concept. I'm very much out of my comfort zone here. Okay, my breakdown is over. All right, let's do this. I don't really know what I'm doing. Kids are cool, but I don't have expertise in how to interact with them, let alone an entire classroom by myself with no one else here to supervise, in a language that I don't even speak. All I can do is give it my best go. It's a little bit better.
The first day started out quite well.
So far so good, I guess.
There were actually far less kids than I expected, and they were all eager to learn.
Ball.
For the first hour. I don't know what shifted, but all of a sudden things went completely out of hand and chaos broke loose.
Why? Who's yelling? That was a disaster. I I don't think being a teacher is my calling. It's not to say I didn't enjoy the day, it was just immensely difficult and challenging and stressful. I feel like tomorrow is gonna be better. I have a good feeling tomorrow is gonna be good. How are you? What's like the biggest piece of advice you can give me?
Have patience
Patience, okay.
because they are kids. To show love, to show limits because they need to learn limits.
What happened? Still a disaster, but you know, more organized disaster, I guess. Hey! Cookie!
For the next week, I learned a few things. Even if kids are wild and crazy, that doesn't mean that they don't have big hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Even if you get called Pinocchio multiple separate times, that doesn't mean they lack the capacity to feel.
Look it, he gave me this. Good.
I don't even remotely claim to have drastically changed the outcome of these kids' lives or anything, but sharing that week together, playing and learning, but mostly playing, it was unforgettable.
Bonita. Bonita.
Você me emprestou, posso levar para o interior?
One night, with the helpful aid of Google Translate, I chatted with the neighbor woman who grew up in the interior of the jungle. She introduced me to her son, Emerson, who still to this day lives in his childhood home deep in the
Uma
jungle.
boa aventura aí na selva. Hein?
Conveniently, he was headed there the next day and graciously invited me to tag along.
10.
Okay.
Pra ir.
We go! Tchau. Obrigado. Tchau. Tchau, tchau.
And this was it. After 2 weeks, I was finally headed to the interior of the Amazon jungle. The journey to the interior started out with a public boat ride where I met Emerson's 2 sons who would be making the journey with us.
Okay, here we go. 10 hours on the Amazon River. Let's see how this goes.
And in this moment, I think I finally started to feel it. The same jungle that the author of my book trekked through and learned so much from was right at my fingertips. And then the boat drops us off to where I thought was the end of the journey. But we then packed away in an even smaller boat, and the journey continued. As night arrived, the energy around us shifted. The sounds in the air were new, and the environment changed. And at nearly midnight, we arrived to their home.
Aranhas. Não tem nada.
My survival was now in the hands of Emerson, a man I quickly entrusted.
Oh. That spider was probably above me the entire night. It's kind of cute.
Communication was tough, but I simply tagged along on their day. I soon came to realize that we weren't alone in this part of the jungle. The river was sporadically edged by houses, one every mile or so. I began to understand that these were all family members of Emerson. Uncles, aunts, cousins. I met everyone.
Prima?
Tia.
Yeah.
It was like this small family community, all living within each other's reach. And then there was me. How did I get in this situation? As I always say, I'll truly never know. Here's what I learned for the next week, staying with Emerson and his sons. I talk a lot. But when I'm not given the easy opportunity to express myself to people, I have no choice but to shut up for a bit. And if I let myself see this negatively, I lose out on one of my favorite ways to travel and see the world. Simply taking it all in without the possibility of manipulating or adding to the natural untouched moment. But after 6 days of experiencing life in this way, there was still one more thing that I wanted to do. On my last day as Emerson worked, I decided to venture off alone and immerse myself in the jungle, just as the author of my book did for months at a time. He inspired me to follow in his footsteps. But after my own personal journey, I was finally there, just as he was. But really, I was already there the entire time.